Hello students, in this video we're going to be talking about inverses of functions, so this is the foldable you need. So when you think about the word inverse, probably what comes to mind is something like reverse, backwards, or maybe swapped. So when we're talking about inverses of functions, we are talking about x and y swapping places. So to find the inverse of a function, just swap the x and y. So we're going to start with a table example. So let's say that this is my function. So this is f of x. Here's my x and y values. So to find the inverse, and this -1, that means inverse. So if I have f of x and I want to find the inverse of f of x, I'm just going to swap the x and the y. So my x's become the y's of my new inverse. So I'm going to go ahead and write those in. And my old y's become my new x's. Okay, so there's my old y's, new x's, and my old x's, new y's. Okay, now let's see what that looks like when you graph it. So I'm going to go ahead and plot those points. And then it's basically half of a parabola, by the way. There we go. So this is f of x. And here's my inverse, so I'm going to plot that too. 0, 0, 1, 2, and 9, 3. Oops. And that, by the way, is a square root. And that's inverse of f of x. Okay, so notice that when you have your inverses graphed, if you turn your paper diagonally like this, you can see that it is a mirror image. So it's a mirror image across that line. So I want you to write that they reflect over the line y equals x, which is that line right there. Okay. So just to recap, when you're looking at tables, you're going to find the x and y's have swapped places. And when you're looking at a graph, they're going to reflect over the line y equals x. Okay, so let's look at an algebraic example. How do you actually find the inverse of a function if you know the equation of the original function? So this is going to involve reverse Pemdas, which is what you use anytime you're solving an equation. So let's say I want to find the inverse of f of x equals 3 times x plus 1 squared minus 4. So step 1, swap x and y in the equation. And remember, y is just f of x, so this, could call that y. Okay, so we're going to swap x and y. So instead of putting y equals, I'm going to put x equals. Okay, so I swapped them. And here, when I get to this, instead of putting x, I'm going to put y. So 3y plus 1 squared minus 4. Okay, so all I did was take those and switch places. Okay, so step 2, now use Pemdas in reverse to solve for y, which means get the y by itself. So I kind of like to have Pemdas written out. I'm going to follow it backwards. Okay, so start by adding or subtracting anything outside parentheses. So I'm at the bottom of Pemdas. Okay, and there's a subtracting 4 outside the parentheses. So to cancel that out, I need to do the inverse of that, which is add 4. So let me rewrite it. Okay, so I just rewrote that. And I'm going to add 4 to both sides, and that's going to cause those to cancel out. So I get x plus 4 equals 3 times y plus 1 squared. Okay, there's nothing else over here to add or subtract outside the parentheses, so I'm going to move on to my next step. So I've done that. So I'm going to move on to multiply or divide anything outside the parentheses. Okay, so, well, I see a 3 times. So to cancel that out, I'm going to divide by 3, just like that. Those cancel. So I end up with x plus 4 over 3 equals y plus 1 squared. So there's nothing here to multiply or divide. So I'm going to cross out that step. I've done that step. And now I'm at step 4, which is the exponent step. So to cancel this out, I have to take the square root of both sides. So I'm going to do that. And I do need a plus minus here for this, because square roots can be positive or negative. Okay, so this square root here cancels out this square, which is what I'm trying to do, which leaves me with plus or minus the square root of x plus 4 over 3 equals y plus 1. Okay, and then finally, so let me go back up here. We did the exponent step. Now we're at the parentheses step. So we need to do anything that used to be in parentheses. So right here, basically. Okay, so this y plus 1 used to be in parentheses, and I need to add or subtract to cancel anything in there, which I see a plus 1. So I'm going to cancel that with minus 1. Those cancel out. So I have plus or minus the square root of x plus 4 over 3, then minus 1 equals y. Then I'm almost done. All I have to do now is write it with the inverse notation, and then I'm finished. So I'm going to write the inverse of f of x. The inverse of f of x equals plus or minus square root of x plus 4 over 3 minus 1. And there's my inverse of that function.